Welcome to Highly Sensitive, Happily Married, the podcast that teaches you to not only have an easier marriage as a sensitive woman, but to have one that feels more amazing by the day. Where you'll hear relatable stories, love advice that works, and coaching on how to have a marriage where feeling upset and disconnected is a thing of the past, and where instead a sense of loving connection and even fun and lightness is the norm. I'm Hannah Brooks, highly sensitive person, love expert, and marriage coach, and I'm so happy to be on this journey with you. Hello, my friends, and welcome to episode 186. So one of the things that I know to be true about women, and especially highly sensitive women, is in our intimate relationships, in our marriages, in our committed relationships, one of the things that we want the most and cherish the most is a strong sense of connection, of intimacy, of closeness with our partner. And when that's missing or doesn't feel as strong as we want it to be, it's unsatisfying, it's painful. So today we are going to talk about one very powerful way to generate more emotional connection, more closeness, and really strengthen all realms of your relationship. But before we dive in, I want to share an announcement on that same topic, which is that over my many years as a relationship coach, I've pulled together a collection of the very best, proven to work, very concrete but small and simple steps that you can take to create a very large amount of connection and closeness in your relationship quickly. And I've put them all into one powerful little course called the Closer to Your Husband in 7 Days Challenge. And here's the fun part. I'm going to be hosting it live for the only time this year, 2025, starting on May 4th. This means that not only will you get everything that normally comes with this course, but I'm going to be there with you in the learning site and supporting you. And there'll be a live call with me to answer questions and give you more support. And you're going to have the momentum and more support from the other amazing, highly sensitive women who are going through it alongside you. It's only $37 to do this with us and keep the course for life so you can keep coming back to it whenever you want. And keep making your marriage even more connected each time you move through it. What's so great about this challenge is that it takes vague and varied ideas and makes them concrete, makes them simple, makes them doable, and helps you actually put them into action instead of them just being like these things that you have heard of, but you keep forgetting to do. Been there? I certainly have. So I help you make them come alive, like actually do them so you get real change. The women who've done this before you have seen real change really fast, as you can see from the testimonials over on the description page. So you can find out all about it and join over there. So you'll find that over at hspmarriagecoaching.com. When you click the courses and events tab, you'll see Closer to Your Husband in 7 Days. Or you can find the direct link to that in the description for this podcast, so the show notes. So speaking of feeling close and connected to your spouse, I very often hear women sharing about how they want to feel a lot more of that, and that talking and communicating well is the path that they see to it. Now, of course, I believe that too. Of course, words and good communication is a path to great emotional connection. Words can be great to build connection and affection and all good things in marriage. And they are not the only way to build more of all of that. In fact, there's something else that's totally wordless, totally nonverbal, but very powerful for building connection, safety between each other, fondness, admiration, affection, and intimacy. And that is cuddling and physical touch. As you may know, I consider my marriage to be a great marriage, and words are not the only basis on which we've built this great marriage. So a couple snapshots from my own day-to-day life. As my husband and I work together in the kitchen, doing pre-dinner meal prep and cleaning, we pause and wrap each other in a hug. We stay there for 20 seconds or so. I feel a big sigh and a sudden softness fills my body. We pull apart with smiles on our faces, and really this sense of being nourished and connected and safe. Later, in bed before we fall asleep, we move together, entangling our limbs, as his chin comes to rest on the side of my shoulder and my head rests on his. His arm is around my waist. We lay this way for a few minutes, just breathing, just being together as worries wash away, and we drift towards sleep. As we pull apart, we're both content, peaceful, and feeling close and happy to be tumbling towards sleep together. So this is the healing, connecting power of touch. And certainly my husband and I are not the only couple to benefit immensely from it. So not only does the power of touch, physical touch, cuddling, feel great, not only is it a way for you to express and receive love from your honey in a very palpable way, but it also builds emotional connection. And obviously, emotional connection just generally lights you up and lights up your relationship, especially for HSPs, yeah? But here's a fun fact. Touch also builds physical attraction, which can also lead back to even more emotional connection. So research has shown that emotional connection is key to a great lasting sex life and a happy relationship. And especially for women, emotional connection is the basis for great sex. So I think many of you will already know that intuitively, yeah? But I want to reiterate that you'd be wrong to think that emotional connection only comes from talking. Research shows it also comes from touch, very much so. So I've actually talked about this before on the podcast, specifically about how the 6-second kiss and the 20-second hug can really help your relationship thrive in all ways. And today I want to emphasize cuddling as a path to both the emotional connection and fondness for each other that acts as the glue, really a delightful glue in your relationship, as well as how it amps up your sex life as well, and how that also has that positive feedback loop of even more emotional connection. So before I get into more of that, I want to tell you simply to just try it out. Add a couple of cuddles to your next few days and see how it feels. And if that feels hard, you can just start with holding hands or the 20-second hug. You can check out episode 134 for specifics on that. And I will address, if it feels hard, a little bit more in depth in a few moments, so stay tuned for that. I want to share an interesting fact right now, which is that 96% of non-cuddlers have an awful sex life, according to research. That's really interesting, huh? I mean, right there, it kind of shows that if you're not cuddling, if you're avoiding non-sexual touch, you're much less likely to have a good sex life. And this really makes sense to me because about 70% of women and maybe 30% or so of men have what's called responsive desire, which means they need a slow buildup or kind of a lead up to being turned on sexually. It really means that desire is aroused sort of slowly versus like spontaneously just feeling desire. So cuddling is one of the most powerful ways to build that desire, right? Non-sexual touch is a great booster of interest in sexual intimacy. So this could start as non-sexual touch and kind of build into interest in sexual touch. And that's really the way it works for so many people. So in other words, cuddling creates more emotional connection, which so many of us women need to want sexual connection. And of course, sexual connection is the defining difference between being friends and being romantic partners. And of course, a fulfilling sex life can be a significant contributor to a lasting, healthy relationship too. So this is what I keep saying by this is like this positive sort of feedback loop. And it can really start with snuggling, with cuddling, with physical touch that isn't sexual. So for those of you who are interested in kind of some of the science behind why touch, like cuddling, has all these benefits, I want to dive into a little bit of that information right now. I've shared it some on the podcast before, but I really find it so fascinating myself that it absolutely bears repeating. So, touch, like cuddling or snuggling, releases oxytocin. Ding, ding, ding. That's the magic word, oxytocin. And that is the love and bonding hormone or neuropeptide. So when oxytocin is moving abundantly through your system, what happens is you feel that warm-hearted, connected feeling. You feel bonded. You feel like you're close to your partner and you want to be with him more. You feel that warm, fuzzy, content, loving feeling. So oxytocin is the hormone or neuropeptide that was super abundant in your system in the early days. It was the main ingredient, the main biochemical that made you feel in love in those early days. It's what makes you feel connected and bonded to each other. It brings that palpable, warm-hearted feeling of closeness and connection and love. So certain types of physical affection and touch, like cuddling and hugging, and certain kinds of kissing, also amp up the mood-boosting hormone dopamine and reduce cortisol, which is the stress hormone. So take away the stress hormone, reduce that stress hormone, boost that dopamine, happy hormone, and you start feeling safer, more secure, more calm, more content. And like I say, love lives in safety. In other words, when you feel safe, when you feel peaceful and calm, you can access your heart. You can feel it. You can feel love. And you can feel yourself being loved. For some of you, that might be even more important. When we're all stressed out, like so many of us are in this day and age, we don't feel as loved as we are. We don't let it in as well. And we definitely don't feel love for others as easily. So all of these hormonal or biochemical effects make you feel super good and amp up your fondness for each other, both you and your partner's fondness for each other. And these hormones make interactions and harmony between you guys so much easier and encourages more laughter and playfulness and joy between you. And all of it also amps up attraction and sexual desire. So it's a pretty magic cocktail that you stir up, that you bring up inside of yourself when you have physical touch. So all of that said, cuddle up more with your honey. It's good for you. It's good for them. It's good for your relationship. It's an investment in your future well-being. So this brings me to the question some of you might have, which is, what if it's hard? Or what if I don't feel like it? What if the idea of cuddling feels like, ugh? Well, the point is not to wait until you feel like it. The point is that by doing it, by actually cuddling up, you're going to start to feel like it. You're going to feel like you want to. Not before you do it, but as you're doing it. Because that's when the whole biochemical cascade happens, when you actually cuddle. The snuggling helps you feel safe and close and connected and fond of each other. And then you want more of it. Then you start really enjoying it. So just do it. And when you are doing it, please don't let your mind wander to issues that are going on between you or problems that you're having with each other. Or even let yourself get caught in your head at all. Don't get caught in your head. Don't get caught up in your thoughts, in your brain. You really don't want to be in your head at all. The ticket is to be present in your body, to be present with your partner's body, and to really feel the touch, feel the sensations that you're experiencing as you cuddle. So once again, cuddle up, my friends. Don't wait until you feel emotional connection to get physical like this. Cuddle first, and the emotional connection will come. Now, I'm not saying it's the whole solution to everything going on in your marriage, right? No, of course not. But this is one of the little pieces that's so important. And I'm also not saying cuddle with any old person and you'll feel in love and connected. Right? That's not what I'm saying. But with your chosen partner who you have already decided you wanted to be with, who you already have decided you admire and love enough to spend your life with, and perhaps who you've just drifted apart with because of daily life or the buildup of hurtful interactions and conflicts. With this person, cuddling can bring you the necessary magic to feel closer. And then you can build on that with better communication and so many other connection and trust and love strengthening things. So if you want help with all of that in a very tangible, concrete way, where you build one small thing at a time into your relationship to make it full of closeness and ease and love, join the only live round of the Closer to Your Husband in 7 Days challenge. We start May 4th, so get in now. You can get started right away because all of the materials are there, or you can wait to move through it together as a group starting May 4th. Either way, it is only $37, friends. What I love about this is there's nothing vague about this challenge and the things we do together there. I will tell you exactly what to do each day that will build that closeness one simple step at a time at the biochemical, emotional, energetic, and communication levels. And of course, you're going to get to personalize it. You're going to get to choose from a sort of platter of things to do that feel right to you. But I'm also going to push you a little. That is, if you're up for it, if you consent, out of your comfort zone potentially, because this is where the connection will really deepen and grow. So if all of that sounds good to you, join us and do so by May 4th. Again, it's all only $37, which is like a drop in the bucket for what you actually get from it all. The link to learn more and sign up is in the show notes, or once again, you can head over to www.hspmarriagecoaching.com and click the courses and events tab, and you'll see right there the Closer to Your Husband in 7 Days challenge. And in the meantime, please explore cuddling and feeling the beginnings of more connection building between you. And be oh so well, my friends.